So let's do that now. So I feel myself sitting here now. I perceive myself as somebody sitting here looking at you. So what is the non-dual pointing? How would you tell me that I'm not really sitting here?
Okay. With non-dual pointing, it actually clarifies the distinction between what is permanent and what is temporary. So what never changes is the awareness that knows that.
Yes.
So that awareness is registering the sitting there directly, so it knows that that body is sitting there. Now the mind may come in as a secondary device where it would say, I'm sitting here and this isn't a very comfortable seat, or it makes some other kind of judgment about it. But actually the knowing of the sitting there is something that is just known in awareness, and it's known directly, and the individual isn't required to know that.
So because we learn that we are an I, so we say, I am sitting here and I'm feeling hot, I'm feeling cold. But those are actually what you say, feelings which arise within awareness.
Yeah.
It's direct knowledge,
Yes,
as you call it.
That everything about the manifestation is reinforcing the manifestation.
Yes.
So if you turn on the TV, or if you read the newspaper, or if you speak to most people, it's always from the point of view of the separate individual.
I am receiving through my senses something, right?
But if it's noticed just very clearly that what is primary is the awareness in which that is known.
Yes.
For instance, the common thing would be to say, I think. But actually, if it's looked at carefully, it's noticed that there's an awareness of thinking. So the thinking isn't who you are, there's something that is aware of that. And in the same way as people would say, well, I can taste that water. The taste of the water is registered in awareness, and there isn't actually an individual involved in doing that. And also, if you take the various states of consciousness, the waking state, the dreaming state, and the deep sleep state, awareness is actually continuous through them. Continuous isn't actually the right word, because there is no continuity, because it's just this. But in the waking state, there is awareness of the waking state environment. So there's an awareness of the waking state body, the waking state thinking process, the waking state emotions and preoccupations, the waking state world. In the dream state, there is an awareness of the dream environment, of the dream individual, of the dream emotions and the dream thoughts. And in the deep sleep state, awareness is simply aware of itself. It actually returns to the level of non-manifestation, to the level of just knowing itself, which is home, which is why human beings crave sleep so much, because they need some relief from all the turbulence that is experienced in the waking and dream state.
I actually had a couple of times the experience that I was awake and my
awake
body
to
was
deep sleep.
Yes.
And that's a great
And
validation of the fact that it's awareness that knows that. So awareness can also know deep sleep, but it's an awareness of that.
Yes.
And that demonstrates that awareness, the changing states, the waking, the dream state and the deep sleep state are actually superimposed upon present awareness, that actually there is no time. And if you take, for instance, the dream state as an example, there may be a dream that covers a lifetime. It might be that, you're dreaming over, that things are happening over a 50-year period or something. But actually you wake up and you realise that didn't happen. That only had any sense of reality while there was identification with a dream state of consciousness. And actually that is true of the waking state. The waking state is also actually just an extremely convincing play that consciousness is doing. And it's totally convincing and totally mesmerizing, because consciousness is providing everything. It's providing the knowing of it, it's providing the characters, it's providing the thought structures, it's providing the emotions, and it's providing all the scenery. It provides the whole production that it comes up with. So it's totally convincing. So while consciousness is choosing to not know itself, there's no possibility of knowing that. But when it decides to reveal itself, there's also no possibility of not knowing that. And that's what's available now, because consciousness is revealing itself to itself, you know, on a very large scale within the story of the waking state of consciousness. And what non-dual pointing does is it makes the distinction between that which is permanent, that which is present, that which never changes, and that which constantly changes. So, for instance, the seeking process, so whether you're seeking, a new car or a new job or a new partner,
Yes.
or whether it's spiritual seeking, that process is something that appears to be happening in time, and it appears to be a process. It's something that can develop. So there is actually the process of spiritual development. So, for instance, experiencing more peace, experiencing more stillness is something that can happen within the phenomena of the focal point of awareness called Renate or David or anyone else.
Yes, yes.
But that actually isn't moving towards self-realization, because self-realization is already the case, because it's the simple awareness that knows everything. So the distinction between experience and awareness is that experience is something that arises within awareness, but it's awareness that knows that experience.
Right. Okay.
So if you take a subtle spiritual experience, for instance, say the experience of stillness,
Yes.
that is an experience. Now, awareness, present awareness, knows that, and it knows it fully. But the way it disguises itself is it pretends that there's this thing called stillness, there's this thing called presence, that by practicing that, by putting attention on it, it can grow. And the growth of that experience will result in self-realization.
It's interesting when you say the word, the intention of consciousness is doing that. It gives me the feeling, first of all, that there is time, and I somehow cannot combine intention and consciousness. It's
Right.
like there is a thinking process. I want to get somewhere with that.
Yes.
So it's somehow intention doesn't fit
Okay.
for me,
Okay.
in my concept, to awareness.
Okay.
Okay. Can you explain that, how it
Okay.
works? Yeah.
Well, non-conceptual awareness is one way of describing it. Being is another. Presence is another. They're the basis on which everything is experienced. So the paradox is that consciousness is simultaneously totally static, totally stationary and stable, but also infinitely dynamic.
Okay.
And those things are simultaneous. So it appears as though there is an intention,
Yes.
but actually there has to be the arising of the appearance for that aspect to reveal itself.
Right.
Because actually all there is present awareness.
Yes.